method here, you'll be able to identify any note on the guitar. As long as you know what note it is, you can go through the same pattern and find your thirds, your fifths and your sevenths. And that pattern is just that. Right everyone, welcome back to Rowan's Guitar channel, Rowan's Guitar Lab. Rowan's Guitar Labs, I'll probably change the name of it, but for now we'll just stay with it. I want to just stick with the C major because, like I say, the C major opens up all of Pandora's boxes on the guitar for you. I kind of explain a little. You'll see all these videos circulating how we talk about the thirds and the fifths and the sevenths and flatten them. And for example, in a C, to flatten the seventh note creates a C7. And all you're doing, we know the shape, but what do we know what we're doing? You're just pinching down on that, on the G string, and that would be an A, so it'll be a B flat. So all you're doing, and the fingers you're holding down is just a C, E and C. C, E, C. So you just add in a B flat. So if you was on a E position, C on the 8th fret, so that's all that is an E, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C. And if you go to active melody, he explains the cage system, and at the minute we're just holding that E shape on the 8th fret, which clearly won't be an E standard anymore, it's going to be a C standard. If you hold all them down, we're in a C standard. So you're just then allowing that E position. It's not an E chord, it's a position. And you capo in the 8th fret, E standard, C standard, E standard. Reminds me when the tellies used to switch off at 11:30. That's how old I am. And then, so we just add in that. And another reference really, so like now you're holding that, you're going to add that note. That's a C7 there. Because what I'm doing, that's a B, you're flattening the 7th note. So you're just going back off the last note in the C scale and just dropping it back to a flat. So that is flattening your 7th. It's that simple. Same there, you've got your B flat there, because that's a B. A, B flat, that's a B. Because that's your C. And why I know that's a C is because I went straight to my reference on the C major. And this is a key, it's not a scale, well it is, it's a C major scale, but it's a pattern, and it's all about that C major pattern. And if you could just forget all about worrying about everything, where's this and where's that, and just worry about that C major scale on the B string. Going up the strings explains so much more than going down them. Well, through the notes. I'm going to do it again, and I want you to pause it and just copy exactly where my fingers are going. So I'm going from 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12. And that's the 7th note in a C major scale. And if we carry on, we go to the 8th note, which will be a C again, because we're working 7 notes. And any position I didn't press on that would have been a flat or a sharp. Flat, that would be a C sharp, that would be a D sharp. But then when you hit the D, E, sorry, there's no E sharp. You just go straight to an F composite, there's no F flat. The C major chord is crafted up of a C, E and G, a keg. It's my first three, and that is a triangle basically, and that triangle is your C, your E and your G. And keg, and I just think of a keg of beer. And when I think of a keg of beer, I think of Teen Wolf. So you're on a 5 string C. From the 5th string, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we want to know where the C is, the E is, and the G is. So on that B string, we know clearly that's the C. We know that's an E. That's a G. So now you know 1, 2, 3. Your E is your 3rd on the 5th fret on the B string. And then your 6 is the F. So that's your first step. This is critical information here for what I'm going to tell you in a minute. So C, D, E, steps, and then no step, and then 3 steps. So then off that F, G, G, A, B, C. And then when you get to the B, there's no step because there's no B sharp and there's no C flat. So you just go B, C, and that will then be your 8th note. And then that D will be your 9th note. I hope it works. So now we can identify C, E, G. So when you hear the terminology, flatten the 5th, that's just going back down the B string, and that'll be that note. And that'll be a B flat, a G flat. Same with the E. And if you can hear that note, I'm just doing that so simple because all I was doing then was flattening the E and flattening the G. And so now that shape, and this is where this shape becomes critical, because this method here, you'll be able to identify any note on the guitar. As long as you know what note it is, you can go through the same pattern and find your 3rds, your 5ths and your 7ths. And that pattern is just that. So for example, let's go, we all know that's a D. On the 5th string, that's a D. On the 5th note, 5th string, 5th fret, that's a D. So if you use that same scale now, let's slide it up to make it a bit complicated. We'll go half a semitone, so now we're in a D sharp. We're in a D sharp. I can't tell you the notes in the 3rds and the 5ths in a D sharp. But in this method, you can work it out yourself and I can. So we'll go. And that's back to your D sharp. So behind it is your 7th note. 2 up from that is your 6th. 2 up from that will be your 5th. 2 up from that will be your 4th. 1 up from that will be your 3rd. 2 back will be your 2nd. And then you're back to your root. Yeah? Do you get that? So, D sharp. Yeah? So we've got an E, no, D sharp, should be an F, yeah, and then 2 ups a G. So you know your third note in D sharp is a G, and you just flatten it. So if I'm playing a D sharp, you can hear it clearly. So if you want to flatten your 7th in a D sharp, you go up to the 11th fret, and that's it. And you can find it on the B string in the 7th position, on that E position, on the D sharp, because you're holding an E shape. You're holding an E shape on a D sharp, because that note on the low E now is a D sharp, right behind the E. If I had a cutout, it'd be a bit easier. My next tutorial, I promise you, I'll do it on the electric. If I get over 100 views, I'll do my next tutorial on the electric. But I just want to try and explain how. So okay, quickly back on that D sharp, open D string. Yeah, open D string. You know that's a D sharp. D, D sharp, D, D sharp. And again, use that same pattern in C major scale. So go. And from that, you know, D sharp, F, G, G sharp is your. So D sharp, F, G, G sharp. That'll be an A sharp. C, D, so D is your 7th note behind the D sharp. Do you get me? So if you're playing a D sharp, your 7th note will be a D. So to flatten that, you go to a G sharp, C sharp. So to flatten a D sharp, you play a C sharp. There it is. There's your C sharp. And there. Gone wrong with it. There's your D sharp and there's your D sharp. We have to make these mistakes so to resolve our mistakes. And I'm teaching myself a valuable lesson, teaching you what I know. I hope you got it from that anyway. But don't worry about D sharps and G sharps. Worry about your C. And all we really want to worry about is C, F, G, C. And if you can play them 3 relevant chords, you'll be able to play an E minor, you'll be able to play an A minor,